Uh-oh, here comes trouble.
What is up, troublemakers? The Double Degree Club, live from the Double Degree Club office, presents Double the Trouble with your hosts, Ananya Ohrie.
That's me.
And myself, Imaad Mian. Also, on our esteemed couch, we've got our highly coveted guest here today, which deserves no introduction, but the one that she can give herself.
Please welcome Ainsley May.
Oh, please.
No, it keeps looping. The show must go on.
A standing ovation almost. Hello there. I'm Ainsley May, your current Double Degree Club president, and I'm very excited to be here on the episode today.
So today's main segment is all about what is double degree, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But before we get started on that, can you guys sum up your experience in the program in one word? Imaad?
Okay, so what's funny is that, like, before this production, literally, I think I've been thinking about this for, like, the past, like, multiple days, trying to figure out what exactly the word is going to be. I'm going to go boring and just say something along the lines of, like, eventful roller coaster. That's 2 words. But here's the thing. I think part of what makes this program especially unique is the fact that it has, like, it can have some serious roller coasters sometimes. Like, I don't know if you remember back in 2A, but, like, you had a situation where you basically had a midterm, like, every week. But then after that, like, what motivation were you going to use to study for exams anyway? So then basically you have this, like, super high peak that you're riding on for, like, 3 months. And then you're just like, all right, well, that was useless. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with my answer and say something along the lines of, like, eventful. I don't know if you agree, Ainsley.
I definitely do. Like, there's a lot going on in this program, but you've got our friends to kind of get us through it, and we're all experiencing the same thing. So I feel like it's a shared experience, so it's a little bit easier than it might sound having a midterm every week, which sounds a little bit daunting. But I definitely agree that it's a bit of a roller coaster. Sometimes it feels like there's so much going on. Other times you're kind of sitting back and just, like, right now enjoying summer is what it feels like. But I mean, once you get into midterms and stuff, get back on that roller coaster.
The summer aspect of it is actually kind of interesting. I think it's like when you talk to, like, other people in, you know, of course Waterloo is, like, a little bit different, but if you talk to, like, anybody who goes to a different university, they'll just be like, yeah, you know, I just went to Malibu for a week. I don't know why I said Malibu, like, I have some rich ass friends. I don't. But you know, you have people who can go on vacation or will have, like, part-time jobs, but within this time frame, like, all of us are on campus. And it's just, like, quite normal.
And even going from Laurier to Waterloo, it's very odd to walk between the campuses because at Laurier, there's not as big of a co-op presence and, like, constant schooling as there is at Waterloo. Here, it's, like, a normal term, and then you go there, and it's like a ghost town.
Yeah, I used to always say, like, once you're past Leicester, the entire vibe changes between the 2 universities. But then now it's just, like, the vibe changes from people to basically no one. You have a bunch of, I guess, business students and then double degrees.
Really, yeah.
I think about 2 weeks ago, I went to Laurier's, you know, like, the main building. What is the main building called?
The turret?
I know nothing about this.
I don't know.
The
concourse?
It's where the turret is.
The concourse?
Concourse. That's what I meant to say.
Fred Nichols.
I know nothing about anything. But I went to the concourse and I went up to, like, the 2-4 lounge. Real ones know who that is. Literally
I'm not a real one.
Silent. It's apparently, like, this super popular hangout spot for Laurier kids. And there was not a single soul in there. And just to try it, I just yelled out, like, hello! And I got nothing. But yeah, I don't know if, Ananya, you have a particular word that you describe.
I would say it encourages growth. Even though I've only been here for, like, I'm finishing up my first year, I can definitely, like, every term has been completely different in, like, the experience that I've received. Like, first term was hell. I would never ever want to go back to that. Second term was fine, and then this term, like, I'm taking everything that I learned in first term and second term to apply, but it definitely, I don't think it ever gets easier. If, like, do you guys agree?
I would disagree. I think that first year was the big difficult part of the program. And once you get through first year, I'm not sure if it's that you get used to things and it seems easier, but I feel like I had more free time to, like, fill with extracurriculars and stuff, and I kind of relaxed a little bit. I think it might be the courses and that first year's a little bit harder, but it also probably is getting used to things. But I don't know. I'd look forward to second year.
Yeah, we should probably say for the record, Ainsley and I are both second years, so I guess we've kind of experienced a little bit more on that end. It has like different difficulties to it, but I would definitely say that first year in comparison was like you actually had like a lot more stuff to do. Especially when you talk about courses like B111, B121, you have like a lot of group projects. You have, it's your first time taking a business course, so you're doing probably a paradigm that you're not really used to. And then you're also dealing with like the math courses, CS courses that are going to be a lot different from what you're used to in high school.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I think what happens in second year is honestly a lot of these courses feel like high school courses. I'm not dissing any like a particular course, but it's just the way that it's structured feels like high school.
It's not a bad thing either, right? Like we're all comfortable with high school courses. We did it for long enough. It's kind of comforting to be in that area and feel like your teachers care about you and they're going at a pace and they care if you understand it. You get that extra breathing time. So I'm not complaining about it, that's for sure.
That's great. That's great to hear. So, there were a bunch of mixed emotions from that question. So why don't we start off by discussing the good, to hopefully give some of the students that are incoming some encouragement. So why don't we start off with name something you didn't expect coming into the program. So Imaad, you want to go first?
Yeah, I guess in like a good way, right? So, okay, there is something that I essentially heard at the end of 1A in December at a double degree club event that basically changed my entire opinion on why most of the people are in this program. I asked Tylai, who I think you guys both know, and I think a bunch of listeners will also know, and if you don't, you should. But basically I asked them at this like Among Us double degree club event, and I was like, okay, so why are you still here? Because he was in 2A at the time, so I guess like, which is pretty funny because now we're in that situation. And he was like, the people, there's like few other reasons. I'm like, I guess that makes sense. And I think the expectation of what people were here for and what everybody enjoyed doing the most was completely flip-sided. Like I thought that this program would be a lot more competition based. Like everybody's trying to like get out for each other, but if anything, it's like the complete opposite. You have a bunch of people who just want to like help each other, and not to mention the way that people are like really open to talking to you. I think that's like that was genuinely new to me. Like you could just talk to anyone on LinkedIn who hasn't been in this program for 30 years and they'll be like, oh my God, I would love to talk to you. I don't know if you guys have had similar experiences on that end though.
Yeah, I was definitely pleasantly surprised by how tight-knit the community was here.
I agree.
That's something that I heard at the Laurier open house when I started checking this program out. I mean, I never thought I was going to go into math or business. I didn't really know what I was going to do. I guess I kind of thought like Waterloo math, but it was the competition aspect that kind of made me shy away from that. But when I started talking to people and they're like, no, it's not competitive in double degree, everyone's like very friendly and they try to support each other, that really appealed to me about it, and that's why I ended up deciding on the program.
And that's despite the fact that we have 2 competitions within the span of first year, and then there's ones that everybody goes to. Like you can talk about Accelerate, and then last year Case's first Case competition.
Yeah.
Where like in theory this should be all about competition because we are half business majors or full business majors for that matter.
We're supposed to be competitive.
Yeah, like the stereotype is that they're super competitive, but I think the culture at Laurier and at Waterloo for that matter kind of fosters a lot more collaboration. But that's probably what I would say is like I didn't really expect to happen.
I also think there's a sense of pride that you feel when you see another double degree doing well in something. And that's something I didn't expect either, was whenever I seem to do well on things, I have these people that just come up and are so like proud of me and happy for me. And you'd think that maybe it would be a little bit of a jealousy thing, but no, it seems like a very sincere, like you're happy when other people succeed in your program. You just want to see your friends succeed.
Yeah, and I think just building off of the fact that we mentioned competitions, I really like how much opportunity there is, like regardless of if you're interested in more business or math or CS, there's always something for you to do in your free time or in like university, in your day. Like there's so many things going on campus that you can kind of like cater towards what you like to do, whether it's marketing, you like coding, hackathons, whatever. There's always something going on.
Yeah, and then it's always like it's kind of like what you said earlier. You have this like weird camaraderie with people that you've never met before, and you're just like, no, but I want them to win. I remember with Live Case, where a bunch of us knew who you were insofar as you were a double degree, most of us didn't know you that well, but we're just like, she's in the finals, she has to win this. Anybody who wins against her got robbed. And it was just like that entire camaraderie and sense of collaborative like atmosphere, I think also helps a lot with respect to like making you enjoy the experience.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Yeah, even hearing about that, like I'm getting goosebumps now just remembering the experience of live case and having that group. We had a group chat on Snapchat where we were all kind of talking while the case competition was going on, and I just remember looking at it after and feeling like so happy and confident and supported, and it just, I feel like that really was what tied me to Double Degree and really made me feel like I was part of this greater community.
Yeah, and for all intents and purposes, like most of those people weren't friends with each other. Like from an outward conduct, like you would just feel like, oh, whatever, like they've met before. I think the online school aspect added to it too, because like that was kind of the only opportunity we're gonna have. I don't know if you had a similar experience in like the in-person world with respect to like that collaborative atmosphere.
Yeah, in person, I definitely feel like you get to see more of that just because you're forced to go to your classes and like actually interact with people, where online you can kind of just like put it on the side and like cook or like do whatever you want, so you don't actually like get to interact with people that much. But when you go in person, first of all, it's very obvious to see like people want you to do well. They'll always come up to you, like ask questions after class, like people will stay back, you can work on assignments together. Just, it's so much more like comforting to know that like other people are also struggling and you're not the only one. So I definitely love being on campus. Like,
it gives you a reason to come to class too, right?
Yeah.
You get to see your friends, you get to have social interaction that isn't with a two-dimensional figure on your screen.
Yeah, or even like I think what was it, your year, right, where Ken Jackson, one of the award-winning now professors at Laurier, called out essentially Double Degree Club behavior.
That was iconic, like so iconic.
Yeah, walk us through that for all the people that that did not get to experience nor hear about it.
Well, first of all, online it was so much fun with Ken, just because he would invite people onto the mic, and there was this one specific day where this kid barked like a dog on the mic. So that was like what made going to class actually worth it. And he would just like troll double degrees. Like I think once he did his math wrong on like the screen. He was like, "Oh no, I'm acting like a double degree," and like the entire chat went crazy. It just like teachers like that like really make your experience so much more meaningful, and like you actually love being there.
Yeah, I think one time I spoke to Ken and he was talking, I was kind of asking about like, oh, what's the in-person teaching experience like? And he's like, well, on the first day, usually have like a bunch of people that are being pretty disruptive, usually the double degrees. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because I think you have this like small group of people that for the most part think pretty highly of themselves until 3 weeks in. But and you kind of have like this group of people that automatically feel super, super connected to each other solely by nature of being in the program. Like it's very cohorted in that way.
Yeah.
And I think speaking on expectations, something like having a double degree club, not to like plug, I mean, it's our show, so who really cares? I feel like I can promote the club on the club show.
Go crazy.
But but I think the idea of having a program based club, not of course everyone has it, but it also makes you realize that it's a lot more tight-knit of a community. Mm-hmm. And we're kind of the only club in the Mathematics Society that has like automatic membership for everybody in the program.
Yeah.
So you have a bunch of people who are allowed to come to any of our events that are all in the same program. And so that's a good way to, I think, like meet people.
And kind of like building off of that, so what was your favorite memory from your time in the program so far? Are there any specific moments that stick out?
Oh, that's a tough one. I feel like you already have an answer.
I feel like I have a few. Like I said, like live case was really fun for me because I felt like that was kind of my first time like really connecting with double degrees, having everyone support me. It felt really nice because I was a nervous wreck before, and watching everyone's presentations, we were after like the halfway point, so I got to watch a bunch of people and I was just so stressed. Like I was like sweating like crazy inside my air conditioned dorm, like, and everyone in the chat's like, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be great, we're so excited. And it just, so that's probably my favorite memory, because that's kind of where it all started for me and where I felt really connected to the program. And that's actually when I kind of decided that I was going to start doing double degree club. So just kind of a turning point for me. So that's probably my favorite memory. Yeah.
Yeah, mine's pretty recent, and it's also, again, I'm just gonna keep plugging what the double degree club does, because that's my job here. I just got sponsored by the club, but I think double degree karaoke was huge.
That's another one.
So
definitely.
For those of you guys that weren't able to come out, you missed out. You're wrong. So in fall 2021.
Yep.
That was 2 terms ago. My God.
Time flies.
Fall 2021, we had our first in-person event in something like 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
Certainly since you and I started. Certainly since you started. And we had this double degree karaoke event. We had it in one of the major lecture halls in M3, and we just like vibed out for like 2.5 hours. So
there was
much
a lot of screaming.
A lot of screaming, a lot of singing, and it was really nice to just have people chill. Because I think that was like 3 days before the first final exam.
It was a nice little break from studying, I have to admit. That was what I was kind of thinking would be my second favorite memory, actually.
Yeah.
Lots of talented students in our...
And it was a situation where, you'd think like, oh, I don't know if people are going to really enjoy it. They're going to be super like, closed off. But literally as we got to like hour 1 and we're in it, the sign-up sheet for I want to go up and do a song got longer and longer and longer, and everybody's like, no, now I want to do multiple. And it's really cool to see how a group of people that might have been like super shy about it got really open near the end.
Yeah, we had to cut off the sign-ups even. I had to start fighting people and being like, I'm sorry, I can't let you do another song. We don't have time.
Yeah, like very reluctantly, we were just like, oh man, do we have to end it in 10 minutes? Yeah, we're literally going to get kicked out of this lecture hall.
And not all of you have probably met me in person, but I'm a tiny person, so me fighting people off isn't very effective, so...
Ananya, what was your favorites?
I think... my favorite memory so far, it's kind of like a personal win, I would say. I definitely was not sure if I would pass Math 136. So I think that last week before the final exam, just like, I literally locked myself in my room for a week, studied for that. And I not only passed, but I actually did well. So I think that's like a personal like win that I think that's definitely been my favorite memory. That sounds kind of contradictory, but it's like, if you actually put in the effort and, you trust yourself enough, like, it pays off.
Well, at first I thought you were going to say the studying was your favorite part, and I was a bit concerned, but really hearing you finish the story made it a little bit better.
I was in my room thinking about matrices. I'll never forget that moment.
As one does.
Oh, wait, 135, not 136.
Yeah, I was like, aren't you taking 136 right now? I was like, wait, how does she already take the exam?
No, time travel.
Yeah, actually, double degrees have now mastered time travel.
No, she just skipped through it. She was like, first month in, she's like, I'll just take the final exam. Yeah. I got it.
Can I fast track?
Yeah, like I heard 135 was quite the experience for a lot of you guys, which is funny because I think most people agree that in our year, for the majority of people, 137 was sort of the hard course.
Oh, yeah.
And it was interesting to see the flip, because any advice that you were getting online on like UW Reddit was just like, why would you even care about 137? 135 is soft as hell. And then you saw what happened at the midterm in our year.
Yeah.
And you see the flip. So then when we were giving you guys advice, we're like, oh, don't worry about Math 135. It'll fix itself.
No, I would say it was rough. I don't know how others would feel, but that's precisely why I took 128 second term. Yeah.
And to kind of fill in the context, because I'm not sure if everyone knows what happened with our year in 137, but they kind of turned our class into a meme, because we all seemed to like fail the midterm together. Not all of us failed, but a lot did. And that was our first midterm in university, really. I think we had BU 111 first, but that was our first math midterm. And after, they sent out an email referencing Inside Out, saying that sadness is a normal human emotion and you should watch the movie Inside Out because it's one of the greatest movies of all time. And it was just, why is this university professor sending this to us? Is this what university is?
Oh, do we remember who sent it? Was that Eddie?
I don't know, but there were a lot of memes made from that, so I highly recommend checking it out. I'm sure you'll find it on Reddit. It's
Eddie, if
pretty
you're
funny.
watching, for the record, we really appreciate that comment.
It has shaped our group too. That's another great memory that our year has, and I think it's kind of leaked over onto the first years because you guys are pretty aware of what happened, and we just reference
Now,
Inside
everyone knows
Out
the
all
joke.
the time.
I remember in 136, we had Mike. I don't remember what his last name is.
Stachowski?
Stachowski. I knew it was something
Something like
along the lines of Wazowski. Mike. if you're
Yes,
listening.
I know. That's how I.
And so he was teaching in-person math 135 at the time, and I remember I think like the Monday after the marks came out and the whole Inside Out debacle happened, first thing he said as we sit down, "You guys watch Inside Out yet?" And that was an opportunity for us to all realize, one, that everybody else in the class was also a double degree, which I didn't know at the time, and two, that there was kind of like this shared aspect to it. Like I think in high school you didn't really experience that as much because like if you were doing bad, then you were just part of the group that was doing bad. You weren't part of the overall group.
Yeah, here it's almost an expectation that you're gonna struggle, and if you're not struggling, then people kind of look at you and they're like, "How? Like what's going on here? I don't believe you."
Speaking of struggle, let's talk a little bit about the bad. Yeah, this is a killer segue, by the way. I know that Ananya also looked at her laptop, saw the word struggle, and went, "Damn, he just killed that." But I want to segue into sort of the bad or / the ugly side of it, not to get too morbid. I don't know if you can get morbid about a program. That sounds intense.
Yeah, you're making it sound a lot worse than it is, I think. So I
It's
hope
Morbius.
none of our viewers are being discouraged. And oh my goodness,
I'm looking off to the side because one of our fellow DDC execs, Jimmy's here. He's do you wanna
typing
wave
away
at the camera?
furiously.
Yes. I told you eventually you'd have to be in the shot. What was I going to ask? I'm struggling about the program. What is something that you really struggled with? Maybe we'll start with Ananya on this one.
I think, like we just said, the fact that, like, I had to realize I'm not going to be good at everything, because I think coming from high school to university, like, everyone told you, oh, yeah, double degree is going to be hard, like, it's not going to be a walk in the park, but you never, like, actually realize how much work it is until you're living through that. And when I, like, immediately didn't do well, like, the 135 assignments, oh my god, like, I found them so difficult. And then 137, like, again, I found them really difficult. But then it wasn't just the fact that I wasn't doing well in the beginning, it was the fact that, like, I had continuously done well until I got to the point that I worked so hard to be at. And then once you get there, you're like, oh, like, am I not supposed to be here? Like, it was just like wrapping my head around that I kind of struggled with.
That kind of imposter syndrome is a very common experience for double degrees too. So hopefully we have some first years watching and you guys understand that that's very common. We've all experienced it. So don't be discouraged if you're questioning like your place in this program. You're meant to be here. You were accepted for a reason. And we're happy you're here and we hope you stay.
That's a big point that I think a lot of people forget, is that you were accepted for a reason. Like, the whole point of an acceptance is like, oh, we think you can get to the end.
Yeah.
Because the university doesn't exactly benefit from having their numbers be complete garbage on getting through programs.
Yeah.
And I think also, kind of speaking to your point earlier about, like, you know, people tell you, but ultimately, if you believe them, then you wouldn't have been in the program in the first place. Because you're the kind of person who doesn't believe something like that. Because you're like, oh, what do you mean? I'm like the second smartest person in this high school. Like, what do you mean? Of course I can get through it. Ainsley, what do you think you struggled with, at least in the first two?
Yeah, I try to tell this story as often as I can, so I apologize if any of our viewers are hearing this for the millionth time. But I like to talk about my experience with tutors throughout university, because I feel like that's something that a lot of people don't really think about, is that these people that went through high school doing so well, like overachievers that might not have ever had to have a tutor, needing a tutor in university isn't like a sign of weakness. Actually, I in fact found a tutor before I ever took a class. I had one set up so that the first week I immediately had my first session with a tutor because I knew that things were going to get difficult. And I highly recommend, I know this kind of is a different track than we were going on before, but I highly recommend maybe thinking about the idea of getting a tutor, because it's not like a failure to say that you need some help. Like, that's not a sign of weakness at all. And I think that that's kind of one of the ways that I turned struggle into something that was not as bad anymore was by setting this thing up with a tutor beforehand. And I had it for both of my math courses. I continue to have tutors up through second year, and I struggled a lot with the math courses. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a natural math genius. But having that tutor with me to kind of walk me through things slowly, like make sure, kind of almost coddle me while I was after classes, was super helpful, and like helped me get through the struggle of the 2 first year math courses that were just making me want to drop out, honestly.
Yeah, sometimes letting yourself be caught. I think like asking for help in general is something that you're just not used to.
I think
I know
it's a sign of
in my
strength.
peer mentorship group when you were one of my mentees, the only thing that I ever said as advice was go to office hours.
Yeah.
And you never realize, like, if you think back to yourself in like high school or something, and you're like, oh, would there be a situation where I would sit with my teacher and wait until I 100% got it? No, you were just like, oh, I literally get everything that's going on. But then in the context of like uni, you might be so confused such that like the professor really does need to dumb it down to like baby version for you, and you have to be open to that, because otherwise you're just not going to get it. There's no other way that you're going to be able to like go over that hurdle and be able to overcome that obstacle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also, can I?
No, go ahead.
So I remember like in first term when I was actually taking math 135, 137, I spoke to the professors, and they made me realize something like really like monumental, I would say, like in my eyes. When you go to class, you're not like meant to understand everything the first time around. Like it's meant so that you go home and you practice, you look at the notes again, you know, get help through office hours when needed. Like it's meant so that you really understand the concept, because if you don't understand the concept, again, you can't really do the math exams, because they're not like from point A to point B. It's like point A to like B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, and it keeps going. Like
Not
you
to
really
scare anyone too much.
But it's really based on the fact that you understand the concept. So again, you're not meant to understand everything the first time around, and that's okay. Like everyone else might not understand it the first time around also. So like you can all work together and figure it out.
But one of the beautiful things about double degree that I know we've experienced a lot in our year, and we've tried to kind of share it with your year, even like with running the academic review sessions and stuff, it's that if you don't understand a concept in class, there might be someone sitting to your right or your left that's willing to take time to explain it to you. And having someone that just learned it explain it to you, that doesn't have a degree already in it, that doesn't have their master's or their PhD, is so valuable, because they're not going to be assuming that this is the easiest concept in the world. They're going to dumb it down more than a prof would, to be honest, or a TA would. So also, and having them as your friend explaining it to you is a lot different than having someone that's like your superior explain it to you too. It's a lot more comforting.
And they don't have to share attention to some point. You know, and of course you're not on the clock with their time. Of course there's, you know, plenty of professors that are willing to stay for their whole office hour, but it's only an hour sometimes. And you can't always spend all the time in there. I think that's also something that takes a lot of getting used to, is being able to just be like, no, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Please help me.
And that is another thing, is that I feel like sometimes I got to the point, this was another thing I struggled with, was that I would tell myself, oh, I get this. I definitely do. Like, I'd be listening to a lecture and I'd be like, yes, this makes so much sense. And I'm like, yeah, of course it makes sense. They just explained every single step of it. But if I took away the person that's holding my hand and lecturing, then no, it doesn't really make sense in my head. So it's kind of, you have to let go of your ego kind of and be like, you know what, not everything makes sense to me the first time around, and that's okay, because this is what university is about and what studying is for, and the time that you have that you're not spending in classes, it's so that you can take the time to understand things, because you're not meant to get it right away, and you're also not meant to get all of it. No one is meant to get 100% in a course, and that's something I forget a lot too.
Yeah, or even recognizing that, like, yeah, you could walk out of the course with a decently good grade and still not have understood everything that went on.
Yeah.
That's like CS 115 for
because
me.
Because if you did, then at that point you're just a math PhD, because then you know everything about a subject, but you shouldn't, because that's not really how it works. You know enough to get all the way through, and then hopefully you try and keep as much as you can as you move on forward in the program.
Yeah, for sure. So just building off of that, what is the biggest thing you learned about yourself throughout this process? Ainsley, you want to start?
Mine's not really kind of like the bad. Mine's more of like a good thing. I think I kind of learned that, like, I can Like, I developed an I can attitude rather than I can't. I spent the first term not really being involved in many extracurriculars. And then second term, once I kind of felt that I was able to get on my feet and understood kind of like time management and stuff, I started joining Double Degree Club and more things and doing case competitions. Then the next year, I joined an absurd amount of clubs, and I think you all remember the absurd amount of clubs that I joined, and that was a little bit silly on my part, but it just kind of reinforced the idea of I can do this, and I can figure out time management. I'm not like this person that's just like, sure, I'm struggling through the program, but I can still make this experience fun. So that's something I kind of learned about myself.
Okay, we're back. To be fair, it's the first episode, so it's kind of expected to have a crap ton of technical difficulties. Basically, both cameras turned off. Ananya's mic was broken. Everything was just not working.
I was perfect, though.
Yes, as always, right?
Yes.
But we
all know.
we left off talking about struggles. I actually don't even remember where we left off.
It was something that I was saying, but I mean, I say a lot of things.
So maybe I'll just pick back up and talk a little bit about my struggles through the program. We're talking about extracurriculars a little bit, and I think that was a big thing. Is like in high school, I was a very like involved person, and your like worth was defined by the number of clubs that you had on that resume.
Oh my god.
And when you enter into like 1A and you're like, yeah, I don't think I can do as many clubs as I used to, or I don't think I can run every club like I used to. So maybe I should just chill. And recognizing that giving yourself a term to just figure it out, that's really important. And I think that was kind of something that I struggled with, was recognizing, no, just leave it, just figure this out, and you'll always have time later.
Yeah.
In high school, my attitude was always like, no, there's never going to be an option. And like to some extent, you were on a time limit, right? Like you had this expectation of you. Not that I think any high school kids are listening, hopefully. But I think with respect to university, you can be like, oh yeah, I'll just figure it out in 3B, and I'll start doing clubs in 4A. It's fine. You have like 4 terms after that to do a bunch of stuff.
That's the beauty of our program too, right? We're here for longer.
Yeah.
So we've got more time to figure things out. I mean, I was going to apply to TA for next year, and I was like, okay, you've never done an in-person term before. Summer's going to be your first in-person term. This could go horribly for you. Like, I didn't know how I was going to react to everything being in person suddenly.
Yeah.
So I just kind of said to myself, you need to let go of this attitude that you had all throughout high school, where every single lunch hour had to be filled with one club, maybe 2. And you'd switch between the 2 different meetings because, you know, we just like to be over involved. But I had to kind of shake that idea out of my head and say, you have longer than a normal, like, BBA or MAP, like a BBA student, even ones that do co-op, right? Like, you've got this extra year to TA. So wait until you're going into 4th year and you can TA then, right? Yeah. We've got more time. So it's kind of the beauty of this program.
And we'll leave it at that. We're now going to move on to our next segment, so let's hit the intro. Your total comes out to $24.02. Thank you very much. Here's your 2 cents. And now it's time for the first edition of our new segment, Our 2 Cents. On each and every episode, we ask you, our audience, to send in your questions, anything that you'd like advice on, and we give you our unfettered, totally unqualified 2 cents. Now, as we will also ask you, and you'll have the opportunity to go on our Google form, which we'll be sending around for future episodes. For this episode, I simply went onto the DD27 and DD26 Discord and said, hey, the Double Degree Club is doing a thing, ask us questions. And surprisingly, people answered. And the one question that I got is from @Marsu Lee on presumably Instagram, although I suppose it could be on anything, maybe Tumblr. And
MySpace?
MySpace would have been awesome. I think MySpace is too old, though.
It's too old for us, probably.
It's definitely too old for us. I feel like when people bring up MySpace, it's like you weren't even there.
Yeah.
Like you were like, I don't know, 5 years old. Your like older sibling used it. So Marsu asks, considering that Double Degree has a heavier workload, how do you manage work-life balance? For instance, how do you manage your time to be able to participate in club activities? Now, Ainsley, seeing as you're the coveted, honorable, esteemed, amazing Double Degree Club president, shouldn't have added the amazing part. Seeing as you're the current Double Degree Club president,
that was uncalled for. Hold on.
how do you find time to manage your participation in club
Well,
activities.
first of all, I'm gonna say I hope you don't treat your future guests like this.
It's good cop, bad cop. Ananya's the good cop. I'm the terrible cop.
The rude cop.
Yeah, exactly.
The make everyone feel bad. Okay. Well, anyways, back on track. So I guess for me, one of the things that I needed to learn to do when I started joining clubs was learn to say no, and to kind of like self-advocate and say, you know what? I have a lot of stuff that I'm doing right now. I have a midterm this weekend. I can't handle this extra bit of workload, but I would be happy to write out an explanation of what my part needs and like what needs to be done. And then if someone else is able to fill in, right? So that's kind of one of the things that I had to learn to do, which I guess isn't really time management. It's more learning how to not take on more than you can handle.
Which is still time management.
Which,
Yeah.
it is.
definitely
It's
still
a
managing
different
time.
strategy,
Yeah.
But also kind of making sure that you're putting forward the like best and most efficient version of yourself.
Yeah.
Because I have been known for a long time to not really sleep much. I think anyone that knows me will know, hey, Ainsley, you got more than 5 hours of sleep. That's pretty good tonight. But something that I kind of learned and realized was that not sleeping is not helping me at all because I'm not doing things efficiently. It's taking me longer to do small tasks. So really, you need to learn to take care of yourself, which kind of sounds funny. You need to take more time for yourself to be able to put more time into other things, because things get easier the better that you take care of yourself. So that's kind of my 2 cents, literally, because I said 2 things.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have similar prior experiences, but I was just never really like a calendar person. I didn't really make
I
calendars.
didn't believe in them.
keep agendas. Like that agenda that you got in school was like the last time I ever used one, and I hated writing in it. I was like, this is so pointless.
It was a place to play tic-tac-toe.
Why is there word searches? I feel like that's kind of the point. It's kind of demonstrating that the point of this is not actually to help you
Yours
with
had
anything.
word searches? Hold on. I
Um,
feel cheated.
I don't know. I feel like the Peel District School Board had like a lot of cool, like random things in it.
Yeah.
There was like a word search. There was an atlas. Not that I know what an atlas is, but you know.
Okay, well, I was from St. Thomas, so we didn't have fun things like that. If any of our viewers even know what St. Thomas is.
Or there's someone listening from St. Thomas.
I highly doubt it.
Which, if you are, please reach out to us, and we will get you into contact with Ainsley and her family.
And then they'll probably make fun of you for being from St. Thomas. Also, my family? Why are we drawing that?
I don't know. I kind of just kept talking,
Here's
and I
the
was
line.
like,
Imaad crossed it.
when do I not? But I think a large part of it was like recognizing that, yeah, you kind of do need an agenda and a planner, or, you know, one of those things. Like, you need something to plan out what's going to happen. I personally took that to the logical extreme and just started planning out every hour of my days. It sounds psychotic, but I swear it's not. Well, I guess it still is, but it helps. And I think what I learned was that it's really important because there are too many things for you to keep track of. It's just not normal for a person to be able to keep track of all of them. And so having the humility to just be like, all right, I'm just going to write this down. I'll figure it out later. And I'll make sure that I'm actually on task with everything. And then I think that's exactly where club activities came in as well, where you have to recognize that you're in a lot different of a position. Ideally, you know, your clubs are not 100% for the sake of some future goal, but also you're enjoying the clubs themselves. And I think that if you're enjoying it, then you can kind of treat that as something that you do for fun as much as you do it for work.
I try to make our meetings fun too, right?
Yeah.
Like all of
With
my
the memes?
my gifs and
Yeah.
stuff. They're pretty fun.
Ainsley puts Star Wars gifs in our in our slides.
I think I start every meeting with, "This is where the fun begins." For all of you non-existent Star Wars fans out there, probably. But
or we get this huge Star Wars audience that now listens to this show. They're not even double degreed. They don't even know what the University of Waterloo
actually, I'll
is.
just start pumping it on my TikTok and everything.
They're just like, oh my
for
god.
sure.
Hey, nice shameless plug there.
Yeah.
That was like super shameless. Go follow Ainsley on TikTok.
No. You don't need to see my Star Wars videos.
All right, Ananya, how do you manage this whole thing? Because I know you were on Math Soc like literally first term,
I didn't know that. That's
Um,
impressive.
which is pretty intense.
Thank you. I would say I literally just realized this maybe 2-3 weeks ago. So, I guess I'm learning as I'm saying it out loud. But I think it's the fact that realizing if you're stuck on something for more than the amount of time you allotted to it, even if you spend 5 more hours on it, you're not going to get it done. Like,
Yeah.
I think, like, specifically, like, the Math 136 assignments, like, if you're not getting it within the first hour, even if you spend another 3 days working on that same question, without getting external help, you might not even get anywhere. So it's really, like, understanding the point where you should stop and, like, actually get help so that you're not wasting a bunch more time on, like, the same question and possibly digging yourself in a much deeper hole.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Like, I think I kind of get caught up in doing the same thing over and over, going through the same motions.
Just because you feel like, oh my God, I have to get it done right now or else I'm, like, so dumb. Like, I don't get this, like, the first time around. And
There's
you,
a
like,
lot
that's
of
that
beating
internal,
yourself up.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think I never really understood the value of breaks. Not, like, from, like, a super, like, grind set point of view, but, like, I didn't think that...
Rise and grind Twitter.
Like, my genuine belief was that, okay, well, if I don't get it now, then I'm definitely not going to get it ever, right? I just spent 3 hours on it. What is a break going to do?
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Like, I'll go take a shower, and minute 5 of the shower, I'm like, I got it.
Yeah.
I got it.
Well, that's
Or,
a
like,
that's a good point because that's a strategy. We were on a case competition team together.
Yes.
And this is something that just became the norm for our case competition team.
Yep.
So, I would shower during our case competitions as a way to come up with an idea.
Oh my
Like, shower
God.
thoughts are a real
Yep,
thing.
they are.
And
They
I
are.
utilized it to come up with ideas for case competitions. And every time I'd be like, I'd step in the shower and start showering. I'd, like, jump out by the end and I'd be like, I got it. I
Oh
got
my
it.
God.
Yep.
We're going to do this.
And
Because
this-
I think we're also at the level where the stuff that you're dealing with is not stuff that people get instantly.
Yeah.
So you have to, like, take some time, take a break, go out for a walk, go to
Relax a
the
bit.
bathroom.
No,
Take
and this
care of
literally
yourself.
sounds like psychotic, but, like, when you go to sleep and you wake up and you know how to do the CS question, like, I swear to
Oh,
God,
it's
that's
over.
a real thing. Like,
It's so true.
It's actually a real thing. Like, you will wake up being like, oh my God, like, I know how to do this question now.
Yeah. Okay, so second technical difficulty break. We are going to figure it out. We have Jimmy on the side, production assistant that you saw earlier, and Jimmy doesn't know how to use a camera.
What?
They can't
Not
hear
even
you,
an
man.
iPhone
You have
one.
no voice. Whatever I say about you, you can't respond to. Or is it libel? No, I'm kidding. We have business law right now. But we were
It's
talking
awful.
about what it's like to, like, go to sleep and then figure out your assignment question, which I thought it would be a good way to pick up and just say that's why sleep is important.
Yeah.
Because you can use it to solve assignment questions.
Actually, in OB, you're going to learn that there are many more reasons why sleep is very important. So
Yes.
stay tuned.
Yes, BU288.
Shameless plug.
Yeah. So I think to summarize a little bit on our advice about how to manage that work-life balance and for instance, in club activities, it's all about being efficient, right? I think efficiency was probably not a priority for you before, but now it is because you only have a certain amount of time. Fortunately, you aren't trapped inside of a school for, 7 hours of the day?
A ridiculous amount of time.
And you're not trapped in individual classes for like an hour and 20 minutes where what you do is like, I don't even know what we did in those classes. Like listen to the teacher talk for like,
Yeah. Pretty
I
Yes.
much.
remember in grade 12 English, we got reading time. So
yeah,
I
exactly.
don't even know.
Oh,
And so-
right. I forgot.
And so now you're able to structure the time that you want to. And that's kind of the benefit of like university in general is you can be like, okay, well, I need 2 hours to just take a crack at every single question on the assignment, which by the way, another big strategy is if you can't figure one thing out, just skip it, move on, just like
Yeah.
an exam. And then you can come back to it and only spend like 2 hour chunks max on trying to figure something out.
Yeah, working smarter is a huge thing in university that I think it gets talked about, but I'm not sure if it gets overlooked or just people don't speak about it enough, but it's huge, right? If there's a way for you to invest your time to make something later 10 times easier, it's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. If you want work-life balance, you got to work smart, not hard.
exactly.
And I think that's where we're going to end it there. And before we do send you off, we're just going to do one last segment talking all about what's going on with the Double Degree Club.
Hey troublemakers, before we send you off, we just wanted to give you a couple of reminders. So first off, for any of our incoming first years, we just wanted to let you know that we will be running our annual mentorship program starting soon. So keep an eye out on your Waterloo emails. We'll be sending out some information about that, as well as the participation form that you can fill out so that you can join us for that. It'll take place throughout the summer, and it'll let you connect with some of your upper year double degrees that will help you kind of guide your way into the first year, get you feeling ready for the fall, and you'll also get to meet some of your peers that you'll be able to work with in the fall as well. Additionally, make sure that everyone is following our Double Degree Club Instagram, and we'll be posting more information about upcoming socials and other things you can look forward to, as well as more information about the show. So thanks for joining us.
Double the Trouble is brought to you by the University of Waterloo and Wilfrid Laurier University's Double Degree Club. This episode was produced by me, Ananya Ohrie. Engineering and sound design was done by Imaad Mian. Video production was led by Jimmy Zhan. Our team also includes Vivek Bhardwaj, Claire Shen, Judy Zheng, Alex Palmer, and James Ah Yong. Special thanks to Ainsley May for appearing on today's episode. Thanks for listening.